Bohemian Rhapsody is a biographical film that tells the story of Queen, how it was formed, how it became what it was, but it mainly focuses on the lead singer of Queen, Freddie Mercury. I was very excited to see this movie. I was raised on classic rock. Queen is easily one of my favorite bands of all time, and Freddie Mercury, in my honest opinion, is the best singer I have ever heard. That guy's a legend, this band is a legend, and I was so excited to see the story of how all of it came to be. As I already mentioned, Freddie Mercury is a bit more of the focal point of this movie. The movie starts out showing a little bit what his life was. He comes from an Indian family that moved to England when he was very young. Right now, he's a college student that's working in a baggage claim for an airport, but he wants to be a singer. But then one night, the stars all align for him. When he goes to a nightclub, he sees this band called Smile performing, but at the very end of the night, Smile's lead singer, he quits. So now the drummer, the guitarist, they need a new lead singer, and Freddie Mercury shows up and he's like, oh hey, guess what? I'm the greatest singer ever. No one knows it yet, but you're about to. Gives them a few bars, sings a little bit for them, and they're all just like, you're in. And then from there, we see the rise of Queen. Getting into the performance of the movie, Rami Malek as Freddie Mercury absolutely slays this role. In fact, I'm gonna say this right now, I don't think Rami Malek really was in this movie. I think Hollywood somehow found a way to bring Freddie Mercury back to life, put him in this movie, told him to play himself, and then after filming was done, they had him killed again to avoid suspicion that they actually brought him back to life. That's actually probably what happened. Okay, it's definitely not what happened. But the point is, I didn't see Rami Malek at all in this movie. I just saw Freddie Mercury. That is how convincing and good his performance was. Because through his performance, you really do see the kind of person that Freddie Mercury was. I mean, he was flamboyant. He was brash. At times, he was arrogant. He had his opinions that he was going to stand by. If he felt something was for the best for himself and for the band, he was going to stand by it and he wouldn't budge. But what I also really appreciate seeing that Rami Malek really brings out in Freddie Mercury is his stage presence. You see it in this movie, every single time Freddie Mercury took the stage, every time he performed, he just owned it. You really see it every time he takes the stage, every time he's performing in front of a huge crowd, a bunch of people, he's just all like, yeah, this is what I'm meant for. Let's rock these motherfuckers. I mean, at one point, Freddie's talking to Mary Austin, who was his girlfriend at the time, and he was telling her, he's like, when I'm on that stage and I feel that energy and the crowd is just cheering for him, he's like, I don't worry about anything because I know having all those people on my side, there's no way I could fail. I know I'm going to give a great performance. He was someone who fed off the energy and the positive reception of the crowd that he performed for, and you really see it in his performances. What I do also appreciate seeing in Freddie Mercury is when he joined this band, you really did see that is ultimately what got Queen going because of the different kind of charge he took with this. I mean, before, you felt like back when, you know, they would just smile, that the band was pretty cool. It's like, alright, you know, we're fine with playing in nightclubs and in bars. I mean, we'd love to be famous, but we know the chances of that happening are 1 in a billion. But once Freddie Mercury joined, he was like, well, guess what? We're gonna be that one. So, you know, they get out, they get a new bass player, they go out and they literally sell their van that they were using for tours so they can now produce an album. Their musical style is obviously unique, it's very interesting, it has record labels intrigued, so they bring them in, they sign them. And once they're officially signed to EMI Records, we start to see exactly how Queen's songs were made. You see the way they're able to create different sounds, different types of music to integrate with their songs. I would say one of the complaints I did have with this movie is I wish we got to see a little bit more about how some songs were made. If nothing else, I would have liked to see a little bit more of the music that went behind it. There's one scene in particular where the band is just like, you know, fidgeting with a bunch of different items like coins and strings and whatever they can find, just see if they can make different sounds with it, anything unique to it. It was really cool what they were able to pull off. I'm just like, okay, I'd like to see more of that. How else did you do it? Even still, when it comes to Queen's songs, we don't really see how a lot of them were made. We see a few. I mean, we see how Bohemian Rhapsody was made, obviously. We see how We Will Rock You was made, obviously. We also see a little bit of Another One Bites the Dust, how that one was made. But really, that's it. I would have liked to see more of these songs and how they were made. You know, Radio Gaga, Killer Queen, Bicycle Race. Yes, I'm aware that they can't show how every song was made, but I just want a few more. And actually, it's around this time Freddie starts to be a lot more assertive with how Queen should be and how they should present themselves to the world. You know, they have their debut album, it's ready to be released, but they want the first single that's played on the radio to be Bohemian Rhapsody. The problem is, the executive for EMI, who's played by Mike Myers, he doesn't want to make this the debut single to play on the radio because he feels, oh, it's too long and it doesn't really feel like a rock song. Because, you know, the second half of Bohemian Rhapsody, you feel to a point, is essentially opera. I do, however, loved that one line that Mike Myers gives to the band. He's like, guys, Bohemian Rhapsody is not at all the kind of song that friends are gonna jam in their cars and, you know, bang their heads to while they're driving to wherever they need to go. It's just not gonna happen. It's very ironic that Mike Myers is telling them that, because what is the most iconic scene in Wayne's World? When he and Dana Carvey are jamming out to Bohemian Rhapsody in the car. I know the movie would have never done this, but I would have died if after that statement he gave to the band, Mike Myers just took off his sunglasses, looked at the camera, and just went to the audience. You know, the band is very dead set on, it's like, no, Bohemian Rhapsody is what gets played or we're out of here. And they refuse, so it's like, alright, we're leaving. We'll find another way to get this on the radio. And what I found interesting is eventually, yeah, they do, but you find out Bohemian Rhapsody actually got a very mixed response when it was first released. Because some people, granted, had the complaints that Mike Myers was talking about. You know, some people felt the song was way too long. Some people didn't like that it had the tonal inconsistencies. How at one point it's a rock song, another point it sounds like opera. I guess now I just find it a little strange because now it's hailed as one of the greatest songs ever written. But I do like that the movie did appreciate that Queen wasn't initially just embraced by everyone. People were a little taken aback to how different Queen was as a band. And actually, Queen's now touring a lot more, they're performing everywhere, their music has become a huge hit. But it's around this time the movie delves into a lot more of what was the biggest part of Freddie Mercury's personal life, his sexuality. Because, you know, throughout this tour, there are certain moments when Freddie may be looking at a guy and he's very intrigued by him, or he's going off with a group of guys, whatever it might be. And then it officially reaches a point where Freddie Mercury's manager makes a move on him, and Freddie Mercury is incredibly responsive towards it. To which, when he finally goes home to Mary, who he's now engaged to, he comes out and he tells her, I think I'm bisexual, to which she responds, Freddie, you're gay. And even when she brings that up to him, he kind of is all like, it's an area in the movie that I found really intriguing because, you know, when he comes out to Mary, you know, it does break his heart a little bit because he now knows that he can't obviously have Mary the way that he originally thought he was going to have her. You know, he loves her still, just not the way that he originally thought he did. But he still obviously values her as his friend. He values her as a person so dearly to him. But for her, it's kind of harder for her to be a part of his life because of what's happened. There are times later on he's trying to invite her over, but she doesn't really want to. There's also a point later on where he finds out that she's married again, she's gonna have a baby. When, you know, he hears about this, you know, you see like a look on his face, like, I don't want to say it's like disappointment or anything like that, but you can't help but feel like, you know, he's still the one for Mary, and maybe to a point she's the one for him. I don't know if I'm really summing up the right way. It's kind of how I took it. Like, maybe in a way, he feels he's the one meant for Mary, but that can't happen because he just doesn't feel that way. What I also really appreciate that the movie showed around this time is the strained relationship that Freddie has now developed with the band Queen. Because obviously with Freddie Mercury being the frontman, being, you know, the lead singer, the guy for Queen, he's been getting most of the credit to Queen's success. You know, the songs that get released, you know, the way he performs on stage, and, you know, just how well received all the music is, he gets pretty much all the credit for it. And never really at any point he tries to give the other ones credit. He never really tries to tell anyone, I was like, oh, but Brian May helped us with this, and Roger Taylor did this. He just took the credit for what it was, and it's definitely caused a strain in the band's relationship. It even reaches a point Freddie is offered a $4 million contract to just go solo, to at which point the band is literally saying, it's like, you're gonna break this up. You're gonna end what we've all accomplished together. What happened to us being a family? They're completely taken aback, and they're crushed by the fact that Freddie Mercury is even considering this. In their minds, it's all become about the fame, the fortunes, and the parties for Freddie Mercury. It all became about that and not about music. So yeah, at this point the band breaks up. Freddie does indeed pursue a solo career, but what I like seeing with Freddie Mercury is he's not enjoying it because, you know, he's trying to perform music and create music with the other people that are assigned to him essentially, and he hates it because the whole time he's all like, you guys are good and all, but you're not my band, you're not my boys, you're not the guys I started this with. And finally reaches the point after he talks to Mary again when he finds out, it's like, you know what, that guy who I've basically been in a relationship with this whole time, he's been dragging me down, he's been tearing me apart from the band. At one point someone even called to get Queen to perform for this Live Aid concert that's supposed to be really, really big. And, you know, Paul, his boyfriend, lied to him about it. It's at this point Freddie realizes the mistakes he's made. He breaks up with Paul and he decides, I'm gonna go tell the band that I'm sorry, and hopefully, just hopefully, we can get back together and we can make this work again. So at this point, Freddie meets up with the band. He tells them, it's like, guys, I'm sorry about everything. I admit I was an asshole. You guys should have got the credit you deserved. I want us to make this work. We can perform at Live Aid. I want to do this. I know you guys want to do this. Let's fix this. Let's give the people a show again. With that, the band, they all agree to terms. They reunite. They're going to go perform on Live Aid. But not before Freddie gives a bit of an announcement. I don't remember if it's the day before, if it's the day of, they're about to go on stage, whatever it is. It's very soon before the performance. He gathers them around and he tells them, guys, I have AIDS. He's like, with the outbreak that's happening, I got myself checked and I tested positive for it. I don't have much longer. It's a terminal illness. I'm gonna die. It's just a really emotional moment. I mean, you see it in the band. Everyone's getting teary-eyed. Everyone's getting so choked up. But what I appreciate with Freddie Mercury is he tells them, he's like, guys, don't lament this. This was the path I chose. You know what? There's nothing I can do about it. There's nothing anybody can do about it. Look, this time we have together, let's go perform for the people. Let's go bring them joy. Let's go bring them happiness. Let's do what we're destined to do. Let's not lament this. He's like, I've lived an extraordinary life. What we have all accomplished together, that'll live forever. We are going to live forever. I'll live forever. It's just a really powerful, touching speech that he gives to the band. And now at this point, they go out on Live Aid, and this right here is easily the best part of the movie. Because they're out on stage, they're performing in front of a massive crowd. They perform a few of their really big songs. And it's just so awesome seeing it on the big screen because that's as close as you're ever going to get to seeing a Queen concert. Just the singing, the music, the energy, the crowd, the noise, everything. I was watching this in the theaters, and I seriously felt like I was there just watching Leonardo da Vinci paint the Sistine Chapel. Wait, no, was it Michelangelo who painted the Sistine Chapel? Whatever. Point is, I was watching masters at work, and it was fucking awesome. It was just the perfect way to close this movie. The actors all kill it in this scene. It feels like you were there, like you were at the actual Live Aid performance. And it's surreal. So all in all, you guys, I thought Bohemian Rhapsody was a great movie. Rami Malek absolutely destroys it as Freddie Mercury. He was phenomenal in this movie. I know the movie's not getting the most positive reception, but I'm gonna say this right now to the Academy. If Rami Malek is not at least nominated for Best Actor, we draw swords at midnight. I love seeing the story of Freddie Mercury, how he became the artist that he was, how Queen became the amazing band that it was. It was so great seeing the way Queen performed, especially at the very end. I seriously felt like I was actually watching the band Queen in concert at the very end. I may be a little biased towards this movie because Queen is one of my favorite bands of all time, and I definitely loved seeing what it was like for this band to actually become what it was. Is the movie flawless? No. Is the movie perfect? No. Like I said, I do wish we got to see how more of these songs were written, how more of them were made, and I will also say, if this movie portrayed maybe a different band, if like this movie followed the exact same formula, but it was with a band that wasn't as big as Queen, would I have liked it as much? Probably not. But you know what? I ain't gonna apologize for that. In the end, this movie did exactly what I wanted it to do, and I enjoyed the hell out of it. So that's all I gotta say, guys. Thank you so much for watching my video. Don't forget to leave a comment, like, subscribe. I will see you all next time.